All right, everyone, we are going to get started. My name is David Glassner, Superintendent of Shaker Heights City School District. Great to have everybody here this afternoon. As we've been doing over the past couple of months, this is a opportunity to update our community on the implementation of our facilities plan. I have a few pieces of information to share, like we've done in previous webinars. I'll share that information and then open up the chat function for those of you who have any questions or thoughts you want to share with us. Relatively brief, we continue to be in kind of a period where there is some work happening behind the scenes. And there are some more, I guess, visible or tangible parts of the project coming up in the near future. So I will share my screen here. If you have seen a recent presentation that I've given, you have certainly seen this slide. As always, the information that we're sharing is as up to date as possible from today, but the information may change, and as a result, some of the information contained in this presentation may change as well. I've shared this timeline before, and I'm just resharing it. Like I've said in the past, this is a timeline that is helping to guide the various decisions and details that we are planning for as we prepare for the various transitions that are taking place at the beginning of next school year. We remain fortunate. We are on track with this decision timeline and are on schedule with this decision timeline. You'll see now that we're in the month of May, there are some things that are happening in May and beyond that I'll be talking about a little bit today, but including we have opportunities for students to see their new spaces, their new buildings, like we've done in previous years, where students get to transition or get to experience some transition days in their new buildings. That'll happen this month. We also have our celebration of the history and legacy of the Woodbury School building will be taking place in a couple weeks on May 17th. We're very excited about that. We know lots of alumni have told us that they're coming, and we're looking forward to celebrating both the history and legacy of Woodbury as well as the future. So those are just some examples of things that are happening. I do have some new information to share today. If you've been reading our facilities updates, some of this may be a refresher, but it's new to this webinar. First of all, we're very excited to announce that we as a district have selected the GPD Architecture Group as our project architect. That was a decision that was made jointly between the school district and the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission, the OFCC. The OFCC is the state agency that provides funding and other support and resources for this facilities project. The Board of Education will be voting on that selection at its meeting in May, so the May 21st Board of Education business meeting. Also, you may be familiar with the GPD group already because they are the architecture group that is helping design the Ludlow School renovation project. So they're an organization and a company that we have already been working with, and we're excited about the work that lies ahead with the GPD group as well. We are in the process of looking for a construction firm that is a construction manager at risk, also known as a CMR. We expect to be able to announce the selection of a CMR firm by the end of May, if not sooner. And, you know, those two firms work hand in hand. The architecture firm as well as the CMR work hand in hand to execute this project. So we're looking forward to having those pieces in place in the near future. Some additional new information we shared towards the end of last week. Some slightly revised start and end times for the 2024-2025 school year. You'll see on this slide information about the preschool start and end times. In terms of what's different about from what we had previously announced, we made some slight revisions to the elementary and middle school start and end times. The elementary school start and end time will be starting at 8:05 a.m. The elementary school day will end at 2:50 p.m. and that's again for grades K through 5. The middle school start and end time will be changing a little bit. It will continue to start at 8:50 a.m., but will end at 3:30 p.m. Just a little bit of information about why we made the change. The middle school had originally been scheduled to end at 3:45 p.m. We received feedback from a number of our teachers as well as community members with concerns that the 3:45 end time would make it difficult for students to participate in after-school clubs and activities, as well as athletic events, both athletic practices, but also competitions, home and especially away. We did kind of take a closer look at the schedule. We also looked at the schedules of our other schools in our athletic conference, the Greater Cleveland Conference, the GCC Conference. The 3:30 end time is more in line with other schools in the conference. So we think will be benefit for students who participate, for students and families who participate in after-school clubs, activities, and athletics. It did require moving the elementary start time a little bit earlier to 8:05 a.m. The reason for that earlier start time was we wanted to make sure that we have enough time for buses to complete their elementary school bus runs and then get to their middle school bus runs. We've experienced some delays this year just because of how close together those runs are. Next year, we will be moving from 3 tiers of bus routes. So currently we have elementary bus runs, we have the Woodbury bus runs, and we have the middle school bus runs. We'll be moving from the 3-tier model to a 2-tier model, which is elementary runs and middle school runs. So that provides us with the flexibility to make these changes, but we did want to make sure that we were providing enough of a buffer for buses to arrive and depart on time. Packing is kind of getting underway as of today. We have provided packing materials to pre-K 8 buildings. That includes disposal and recycling bins. So if you walk into Woodbury, for example, now and moving forward, you may see some of those bins in some of the office spaces and in other locations throughout the buildings. We know that it's important that as faculty and staff begin to plan for their move, as they're going through materials, that they are able to dispose of or recycle materials now instead of waiting till the end. Faculty and staff also have the option to take care of some packing responsibilities after school and on Saturdays in May. June 6th and June 7th will be available for other packing and end-of-year clerical tasks. We have contracted with a moving company, and they are really, with a move of this scale and scope, they are really an essential partner in the moving process. So we're excited that that process is underway, and thank you to everybody who has participated and is participating in helping to plan for that process to unfold smoothly. Those are really the updates that I wanted to share with everybody today. I know relatively brief. I will stop sharing my screen. At this point, we will open up our chat function for folks who may have questions or comments. I'd also like to introduce our communication specialist, Kristen Cash, just to help moderate and facilitate any of those questions or comments that come our way.
Yes, as Dr. Glasner mentioned, the chat is open if you have questions. We announced recently the approved calendar changes. Can you talk about what the start of the school year will look like? Will there be a staggered start for students, and when we will have that available for families?
Yes, I don't have the exact dates and times in front of me, so I apologize for not being able to go into too much detail. We do, generally speaking, though, we do expect that there will be a staggered start, like we've had in the past. Maybe I should have started by saying the start date for next school year has not changed. So that is the same date that we have published in the past. It remains the same. We have had, the past couple of years, we have had a staggered start to provide opportunities for students to be oriented to their school buildings and grade levels and their new faculty and staff where appropriate, or when that's applicable. We expect that to be the same this year. Again, I don't have the exact dates and times or grade levels in front of me, If Kristen, if you have it, you're welcome to share, but that is information that we will continue to make sure we communicate to folks so that they can plan accordingly.
Great. As we finalize that, I'm sure we will get that out to families. I believe that usually comes out closer to the end of the school year as we head into next year. So thanks for clarifying that. Can you talk a little bit? I know we are in the early days of the Woodbury renovation, but can you talk a little bit about what the changes of the Woodbury, the physical building might be? Are we keeping the structure? Are we tearing it down? Renovating? Kind of talk a little bit about what that might look like.
Yes to everything you just said. Honestly, it's a combination of all those things. One of the things that we heard as we were planning for this master facilities plan is the historical importance of Woodbury, the historical aesthetic of Woodbury, and how important it is to maintain that aesthetic and to preserve elements of the historic building as we move forward. Generally, all that said, we don't have specific plans yet. Since we just hired an architect, the architect will be looking closely at the building to identify what parts we're keeping and what parts we're renovating. I can say at a high level, kind of some of the things that we expect. We generally expect that the core of the building, kind of the historic core of the building, will be maintained. That's the part where the clock tower stands on, that will generally be maintained, and that the wings of the building will likely be demolished and rebuilt and expanded. Since we will have an additional grade level at Woodbury, we know we'll need to accommodate more students and staff at the building, so we'll need a little bit more space. As part of the renovations, we also expect that the renovated building will meet accessibility standards as well as modern safety standards, and also be kind of a little more in line with modern educational learning spaces. So collaborative learning spaces, better lighting, more flexible furniture, those kinds of things. We do expect that Woodbury will keep that there will be a pool at Woodbury in the middle years building. We are expecting at this point that the pool at Woodbury, the current pool, will likely be demolished and the new pool will be an upgrade. That'll be a competition size pool, and that it'll be kind of meet all modern pool standards. Similarly with the auditorium, we do have an auditorium currently at Woodbury. We expect that an auditorium in the middle years building will be expanded to be larger in size to accommodate the more students that are there, and kind of to replace over time the auditorium that currently exists in our middle school. So those are some of kind of the key pieces. Kristen, if there's something you think I missed that you think would be helpful to describe, but that's kind of where we see this going. And again, with an architect now on board, we expect to actually be able to start moving towards a design process with Woodbury, and that there will be plenty of opportunities for community members, staff, faculty, and students, and others to provide input in that design process as it moves forward.
That was actually very thorough. I think that answers the question that we got. Very exciting stuff coming up.
Yeah, it is pretty exciting to see what the future holds, and I think it'll ultimately be a combination of the historical parts of Woodbury and heading, Shaker into the future as well.
Yeah, we have one more question that just popped in. I want to take a second and read it. Okay, so this question is asking about PE at the K-5 building, talking about how we are currently at 2 PEs a week, and next year we will be at 1 structured PE week, asking us how we are planning to provide additional opportunities for physical activity for our K-5 students next year.
Thanks for the question. I know this question has come up a few times over the past few weeks. And I just want to start by saying how much we prioritize and value the importance of physical education, especially for our younger students. We know it changes a little bit as they become older, move into our secondary buildings. And I would say not just physical education, but I think a part of physical education is also the idea that learning is play-based. especially for our younger students. There's real value in that. That there are opportunities for students to construct their learning environment and to develop learning skills through play and social interaction, how important that is. We have made changes to the elementary schedule for next year. It does mean, as the questioner asked, it does mean that we will be going from 2 PEs a week to 1 PE. The reason for that, there are a number of different reasons. One primary reason is that we are going to be increasing the amount of world language time that students have right now. World language is 20 to 25 minutes. I can't remember the exact amount of time at the primary level. We've gotten a lot of feedback over the past few years that's really important for students to have more world language time at the elementary level. So Spanish will now be part of the single subject or specials rotation. So just like all the other single subject offerings, Spanish will also now have 50 minutes of instructional time. We think that's important. We are working with principals and other instructional leadership at buildings to identify additional physical enrichment opportunities throughout the school day, in collaboration with PE teachers, and kind of in ways that go beyond just the schedule that's written on paper. So that is something that our buildings are working on, and we think will be an important way to enrich students' learning experiences in their regular classrooms. So that is something that we're working on. And students will continue to have the same amount of lunch and recess that they currently have. So that's also part of the physical activity that we know that they'll get.
Great, thank you. This is a follow-up question to our Woodbury renovation discussion. Can you elaborate on plans for the pools? So gym, swim team practices, kind of community swimming time during the Woodbury renovation. So will all of those activities move to the middle school? And if so, can that pool accommodate all of those activities?
Great question. Something that we're working on, and I don't have an answer yet, but we are hard at work with our athletic staff, our pool, our swimming leadership, swimming administrators, and the Shaker City Recreation Department, Shaker Heights City Recreation Department, to figure out all that scheduling. We expect to have more information to share soon. We're starting, looking at all the different spaces that we will have available during next school year. The middle school pool, for example, the gym spaces that we have in district. If needed, we will look at spaces either outside of the school district or outside of the city for additional gym spaces or pool spaces if needed. That's not particularly uncommon when school districts go through renovation and construction projects like we're doing. But we don't yet have all of that information solidified. We expect to have it soon. But I do want to rest assured that we are working on it. We're working, like I said, with athletic leadership, recreation leadership, and swimming leadership to help make sure we have all those pieces in place for the start of the fall seasons.
Thank you. And Dr. Glasner, if you want me to take this next one, I do have the answer if you want me to help you out here. This next question is asking about more information nights, specifically at the middle school. Things have changed. Things were a little fluid when those earlier information nights were held. I do have the answer to that. Yes, there will be some open houses and information nights as we approach the new school year in August. So those are coming. The schedule will be out and available soon. We have some tentative dates up there now, and then that schedule will solidify here in the coming weeks.
Thanks for sharing that.
There are no more questions currently in the chat.
So if I could just, before we wrap up, just putting a plug in, we continue to talk about cell phones in our schools, and we do have another community, an opportunity for communities to discuss cell phone practices and policies in our schools for next school year. That's coming up May 14th. It's a really important conversation. We expect information to be coming out both May 14th and beyond. So I encourage folks to tune in, to pay attention to that conversation. Like I said, I think it's very important. And thank you everybody for joining today. Our next webinar is 2 weeks from today. I don't have it off the top of my head.
It is 2 weeks from today, on the 15th.
All right, and thank you, everybody, for joining. We definitely appreciate having this opportunity to share this information and to hear questions and feedback.
Thank
All right, have a great day.